Hello people, this is Phenom Gaming here, and we are here with another edition of Phenom Goes Old School. This time, excuse me, we are going to be looking at one of Sega's, arguably Sega's biggest character, Sonic the Hedgehog. And this is the very first Sonic the Hedgehog game that came out. So, basically, the concept of this one is he's a freedom fighter, looking to get free all these animals and that, but at this point in Sonic's timeline, it's his first game, so he doesn't have any like allies or friends or anything. There's just him fighting Dr. Robotnik. There's no Tails, no Knuckles, no one. Now, this game itself came out in 1991. So Sonic itself is almost a 30-year-old franchise now as well, which, not going to lie, feels a little bit weird to say. But yeah. So basically, I'm just going to be going for maybe about half an hour or so, just looking into a bit of history behind the Hedgehog. Well, not looking at a bit of history behind it, but just talking a bit about memories with the game and just some of my favourite aspects of it and stuff. So, as you can see, I've already passed Act 1, and this is where we go into, because I've got enough rings beforehand, we're now in the little bonus zone. I just want to try and get towards the Chaos Emerald, and I'm not going to be able to do it if I keep... Right, so I've got to go on that little hatch there. Excuse me for a second. Right. Come on. There we go. So it sounds like I got another continue there. And there is the Chaos Emerald end. Those levels get a lot more complex as the game goes on. But there we go. And a continue for, I think it's for collecting so many rings inside the bonus level. But this one also differs a little bit because in this game, each zone, on the most part, has 3 acts to it, which is something the formula of that would change later on in the series, as Sonic games after this would only start getting like 2 acts per zone. But yeah, I think it's because this game, I believe, is a bit shorter than the others, and there's some bits you could. Obviously there was some early kinks and stuff that the game had to deal with. There we go. It's probably because some of the acts were a bit shorter as well. I say that some of the levels are going to get a bit more. You're going to end up being a bit more subdued speed-wise later on in some of these levels. And oh, that was quite handy. Right, let's just have a quick dash across here. There's another thing about, because my memories with this game, it was a game I never completed as a kid. But when I was younger, I didn't actually own the Sega Mega Drive in the family. That was something my brother owned, and like my older brother owned, and it was a case of, because at the time, I didn't have, like, I was keen on wanting to play games and stuff, but I never had a console of my own at the time. And so, but I was introduced to Sonic earlier than when I got my copy of this. So when I first played a Sonic game, it was actually the second one Still on the Sega Mega Drive, which is what this was. So, like, you know, depending on what country you're in, you know, like, it's the Mega Drive to, I'll say you're in the UK, but to, like, an American audience or something, it was known as the Genesis. And here is the game's only boss, but also Sonic's arch enemy, and I'm not doing very well jumping for Robotnik right now. He get called Dr. Eggman in later games, but to me he's always been known and always will be known as Dr. Robotnik. But anyway, sorry, like I was saying, earliest memories of Sonic was actually Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which was the first game to introduce Tails, which I will probably cover on a later edition of this little program, this little series I've got going on. And because it was that, and he also had Streets of Rage, Revenge of Shinobi, and Golden Axe on this one cartridge that had like a multitude of different, like, some cartridges they ended up releasing with like multiple games on them. I think like most of they were going like 3 games on a cartridge at some points, and I am not doing particularly well here, but at least I've not died. And that was what we had to play for that was what my brother had. He had Sonic 2, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and Revenge of Shinobi, which is a high point of nostalgia for me as well, because he had 2 controllers for his Mega Drive, so some of us would play. So we'd play some of the games on we'd play the games on a 2-player basis, and I remember wanting like my own game for the Sega Mega Drive when I was younger. It was not too long before we got our first PlayStation, which is how I'm playing this today. I'm using the Sega Mega Drive's classics from the PS4, which I have done for every other game in this retro series so far. And so I basically remember going to a game... I remember going to a game shop when I was younger. It eventually got rebranded as Game in the UK, but it was initially known as Electronics Boutique. And that was when I'd seen that this game was in stock, and I used a bit of pocket money. It was either birthday money or pocket money, I can't quite remember, but I got to buy this for the Sega Mega Drive. And what you'll notice is I've not been able to sort of just crouch and spin dash, because that wasn't an option available. That wasn't in Sonic's repertoire as a character at that point. Like, he only literally jumped, and in order for you to spin dash, you'd have to do a bit of a run up and then hit the crouch button to be able to get any kind of spin dash off. Which, don't get me wrong, it's still a fun and enjoyable game to play, but it's also like, it's being the first in any kind of franchise, it sort of suffers from being the first in the franchise, which sounds a bit daft to say, because, you know, without the first in the franchise you don't get to build on it. But what I mean is, it's the earliest incarnation of how the gameplay mechanics work, and obviously in on the most part in later games in the series the gameplay improves, and, you know, you refine your controls a bit more, and that's what this does. Similar to, you know, how the first Super Mario Bros. Game worked, or even how like the first Crash Bandicoot game worked, because in, you know, because like, even, I know obviously different characters, different IPs, different consoles and stuff, but what you saw in those was, you know, characters with limited mobility and stuff, and they just improved later on. So sometimes it does feel a bit weird going back to a Sonic game where you can't actively spin dash unless, you know, you run and you hit the down button during your run-up. But, you know, it's sort of, I guess the lack of control options also was part of the challenge, which is definitely evident later on in certain aspects of this game. As you can see, the way this level's structured, I'm already a lot more, you know, a lot slower in completing it and a bit more subdued. I'm not like a massive speedrunner of games, I will admit. On the most part, I will go through at a pace where I feel like I can complete it and just hit easy, like, because that's the thing. Sonic's meant to be all about speed, which becomes a bit difficult in some of these later levels, I will admit. Or at least that's just in my opinion. But here we go. I believe this is still Act 1 for Marble Zone, but there is one zone I'm probably going to end up getting game over on a bit later on, which is the... No, actually, I think this is Act 2. I've not been paying attention, have I? Yeah, this is definitely Act 2, because... nuts. I was hoping to sort of, yeah, link everything like that and just have the satisfaction of doing all that. Yeah, I don't think I've been paying attention. I think this is actually Act 2. Here we go. Bit of temporary invulnerability here. Let's just hop in and out of all this. Hurry up. There was stuff like all these power-ups are still persistent in... How did I die there? Oh, I got squished. I'm gonna get... Oh no, wait, I've got to continue still, so... If I do lose all my lives, it's not the end of the world. But I do only have one continue, so I've got to try and... use that sparingly. While I try to avoid... coming into contact with all these enemies. Or at least... losing health to them all. What that do? Right. Ah, well, didn't get many points from that. Ah, sod it. Right, so. But yeah, provided I get to that level, it was always the labyrinth level that I got stuck on when I was younger. And anyone who's played this, at least up until the labyrinth level, might know what I mean. Again, it was just something where I found a bit of difficulty on it, others might not have done. But either way, and I will probably revisit some of the other games, because I believe, as far as this particular edition of the Sega Classics goes, there's Sonic 2, but then there's like Sonic Spinball and Sonic. It's like a Sonic 3D one where you find the flickies and stuff, whatever they are. Uh-oh. Oh, no, I want to go. I want to get the rings. Let me get the rings. There we go. That was probably all for naught. Right. Looks like there's something secret in here. I want to get to it. I'm not sure if I've chosen the wisest path, but... yeah, I think this is Is this a different way than I've been before? There we go. See, that bit about I said again earlier about the spin dash bit. Obviously, in later games, you'd be able to just get that actively spin dash, but if I try pressing, the button now, it just jumps straight away. But as you notice with the little border thing, I've got the Streets of Rage border up at the moment. which I can change in a different menu, which I thought was a pretty cool feature about this particular bundle. Here's a little, yep. There's another life. Could have done with that. Just wait for us to raise up. There we go. Get a few more rings there. How I didn't get hurt just then is... Never mind. Right. See if I can navigate this again without falling off. And I think we're nearly at the second Robotnik fight of the game. Oh, this is some rings here. Nuts, there isn't. Okay, I forgot what side he comes out of. It's this side, okay. Right, so he's just gonna get fire on that side first. That's fine. So I'll just jump over here. But yeah, obviously, Robotnik's the only boss in this game. The only boss fight in this game. But some of these fights, they weren't the best examples of the complex boss fights in that. But they do get, you know, marginally more challenging throughout the game. Just thing I like, it's like there's a boss that adapts a little bit to whatever surrounding they're in. So now we're in Spring Yard, which sort of aesthetically reminds me a bit of the. Kind of reminds me of the casino level in the sequel. More so just because of all these little bumper things you keep bouncing off and stuff. Even though it doesn't quite have like a full casino aesthetic to it. Uh-oh. I'm trying to sneakily get away some of my rings here. I think you've got to be able to maintain a certain amount of rings by the end of each level to be able to go for a Chaos Emerald. Uh-oh. I'll just go down this, well, sorry, then duck. Yeah. I am definitely not watching out at the best of our capabilities here. But yeah, this is the third zone of the game, and again, this will have 3 acts to it as well. Right, so we'll have a little run up here. But yeah, like, some of my favourite aspects about this game, which isn't something I've really talked much about yet. I think on the most part, just dealing with the limitations of Sonic's movement and stuff, I quite like the way the levels are designed. Not just aesthetically, but from a practical standpoint as well. So it sort of caters to, you know, the limited amount of movement Sonic's capable of. And it obviously, it improves a bit later into the franchise. There we go, once I can actually navigate the springs and stuff. But as well as that, the music, I always liked the music in a Sonic game. Like, I feel like it takes a decent soundtrack to be able to sell. Sometimes a game sells enough on a decent soundtrack, and I feel like Sonic does that quite well. I feel like the gameplay would be enjoyable enough, even if it didn't have, you know, the sort of soundtrack that it does. But I feel like music definitely helps in certain games, and in a game as lively as this. Oh, thank God I got the ring in time. Now I'll be able to go for the second Chaos Emerald. And little secrets as well, just secrets in games like this, just to make the, you know, like with little tidbits at a time to make the player feel rewarded for maybe using their ingenuity a little bit. I've got a feeling I'm going to go down there. And it's gonna, yeah, that's not where I want to go. I'm after the Chaos Emerald, not a goal. Yeah, I feel like I want to be over here. No, that's a goal. Right, here we go. So now I'm in this little bit. I've got to go through these gem things again. There we go, see if I can straight flip it and reverse it. Here we go. There we go. Got the Chaos Emerald for that. I don't know if I got another continue, but... Nope, I didn't get another continue for that. But here we go. So we're in Spring Yard Zone 2. We'll just bounce off that straight away and... Uh-oh. But like... I suppose, you know, being able to go as fast as you can with Sonic is another aspect that I really do enjoy. Which, I mean, I get it, it's all character. It's what you're meant to be able to do. But when you're actually able to hit those speeds, it's full potential, and you're just watching him go full pelt down a hill or something. I don't know, there's just something oddly satisfying about watching him go as quick as he's meant to. Because I think it's for quite a bit of these games, and I think it's one thing... I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, the platformers, you're meant to be able to sort of... I guess that, you know, the fact that Sonic's, you know, meant to be really fast and stuff, these obstacles are meant to intentionally slow him down. And so, sometimes, you know, I feel like they could be done quite well, and other times I feel like it's done to the game's detriment a little bit, especially when you've got just little tedious bits like this. It's just like... Alright, we've been still for a minute. Can we start to move again? But yeah, we'll just get rid of those enemies there. Okay, there's no boxes there. Oh, there's a secret here though. See, just little secrets like that. That sort of reward you, even if it's just marginally. Oh. Oh, that invincibility thing, let's just try and get myself out of here. I didn't choose the best side to exit from. This might take a moment. There we go. Don't have to bounce around in there all day. There we go. Hop onto that. Right. At least I didn't lose the rings, I just lost the shield. Right, got a checkpoint, that's not too bad. There we go, spring out of that. Ooh, that was close. Here we go. Oh, that wasn't very polite. Let's see if I can get anywhere near that amount of rings again. $33 rings. Nah. Completed the level, but haven't achieved anything there. So we'll get to Spring Yard Zone 3. There we go, nice little bit of enemy hopping there. Oh. Let's see if I can get this box. And we do. Now we'll get this one as well. Oh, I was going to say I'll be slow with that one, but that went down on its head fairly quickly. But yeah, I feel like, you know, there is a lot that gets improved on later in the series, but as far as the first game goes, I do feel like this is a very enjoyable game that still... Is it the best Sonic game to go back to and play? In the entire series, it's probably not the best in the entire series, but I sort of, you know, I appreciate, you know, what it did for the, you know, for the video game industry. At a time where, you know, like, there wasn't really too many iconic video game characters. I mean, before Sonic, you had Mario, you had Link, the Legend of Zelda series. Like, Nintendo had sort of had a fairly dominant market. Like, this was even before Donkey Kong Country came out on the Super Nintendo, so, you know, as much of an iconic character as Donkey Kong became a Nintendo, this was still before Donkey Kong got his own individual adventures as well. See if we can loop it back up in here quickly and just dash past some of this stuff. There we go. And I don't even get to go for a Chaos Emerald on this one because this is the stage where you get the boss fight. And something I forgot to mention earlier on is the point of the Chaos Emeralds in the first place. Dr. Robotnik's sort of kidnapping animals and putting them in these robot things, because I should have really explained this at the beginning of the game as well, though, but it's only just become a thought of mine now. Is that after all these, he's making these animals into slaves and stuff, essentially. Into robot slaves and stuff, because he's trying to take over the world, which is, you know, a classic, like, villain motive. And to do so, the Chaos Emeralds are getting the Chaos Emeralds you get in the bonus stage are basically what he's trying to ultimately harness the power of. And Sonic, when he gets all the Chaos Emeralds, becomes Super Sonic. Now, I can't remember if it's a form he could take in this game, but I know it's something that, you know, if you collect them quite early on in the later games and that, you get to be able to play as Super Sonic, which needs a minimum of 50 rings to activate when you play as him in the level, and then it's sort of, the rings sort of get used as a timer. It sort of just counts down, but I sort of held out ending the video until at least this, just to at least get some of the iconic music in, because like I said, the soundtrack helps, and well, just this. Just, you know, it even goes to play a sense of when Sonic's in danger. And here's the thing, and it's probably been said in multiple videos about, you know, when people have done research into Sonic already, that, you know, hedgehogs in real life can apparently swim, which was something that the people behind Sonic didn't know at the time, but they just kept it as a in-game trait in the anyway. But yeah, I wanted to sort of just keep going until at least this part of the game, just to sort of talk about the soundtrack, talk around Big Bubble, Big Bubble. And I'm definitely not going to get enough rings now to get a Chaos Emerald. And it's usually this level I sort of have like, or this zone, I sort of struggle with quite a bit to get past, just because, well, one, it's a labyrinth. So, for anyone that's familiar with how a labyrinth usually works, it's usually just a case of like puzzles and traps and stuff. But I think, considering we're half an hour in, and I've talked about quite a few aspects, a few favourite aspects of mine with the game, some of my memories with it and stuff, and just a basic concept of the character and that, I think this is a good time to find a way to end the episode. So this has been Phenom Goes Old School, and for those watching, thank you very much, and I will see you all later.